when the timing was right, just took advantage. Once the bell rung in the 10th, he went after him.
When you land 30 punches more in 9.5 rounds than Manny Pacquiao does in 12, you're tiring yourself out.
Right.
Unless you're like one of these absolute freaks like Miguel Cotto or this fight that's coming up. Oh my God, Canelo versus Triple G. There's going to be absolutely no defense in that fight. There's going to be no defense, and I think they combined have one loss, and that one loss is Canelo to Floyd.
Oh,
So-
man, that's fun.
I
mean, Floyd is obviously, the best in the world.
TBE.
Best
His hat tells you.
defensive fighter that I think we've ever seen. And the funny thing is that's kind of ruining boxing, in my opinion, is the way he fights. It reduces excitement, and people are just like, can be very bored by that style of fighting, even though it is obviously so successful.
No, it's superior as far as like technically is concerned.
Yeah,
but technically,
it's like the rope-a-dope to the extreme.
yeah, but technically it's like doing mathematics. Like, no, it's not going to entertain anybody, but it's going to get the job done.
Right.
I mean, that's
and it does.
what Mayweather is, and that's what he's always done.
But that's why they needed this kind of cross-platform thing to hype up this fight, because, who else was he going to fight that was going to generate anything now that, he beat Pacquiao and...
Well, I mean, Floyd?
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking Conor.
McGregor,
I was saying there are fighters that McGregor could...
I think he's still the bigger draw, but this is also a lesson to the UFC that they need to pay their fighters. My God, he made $30 million losing.
No, he was guaranteed $30 million.
Yeah.
When all is said and done, they're expected to be close to 100.
Yeah.
I mean, that being
sure.
said, I don't think that this is the last we've seen McGregor box.
No. I was going to ask you that at the end, but I'll do it now. Who wouldn't want to see Conor versus Miguel Cotto?
I want to see Conor box other people, because if he can go to the 10th round and be technically knocked out, not even knocked out, he never hit the canvas.
He was 30 seconds away from being KO'd.
If it wasn't ended by the refs, then it was going to end
where
shortly
he
after
wobbled
that.
and grabbed the rope, that's what did him in. Once he grabbed the rope, that's what did him in. But that being said, still, because the ref stopped the fight, he didn't hit the canvas. Had he, I don't know if he would have gotten back up. Would that have been enough time for him to be able to stabilize himself? You can't know for sure, because this guy gets hit for a living. Yeah,
I think by the time they got to the standing 8, the ref would have been like, "That's it. You're obviously not there."
It probably would have, but I still think that McGregor, even if he had gone down in that round, would have still gotten back up. And I think he's probably still could have gone to the end of the 10th.
I don't know. He wasn't able to get his arms up. Yeah. He was just taking hit after hit after hit to the face. They would have called that. They would have called that fight in UFC, and a lot of people were mad because Conor never hit the ground. Conor never,
that was a perfectly valid reason to call the fight. He wasn't defending himself. He was getting hit repeatedly in the face. They do that.
He was holding onto the ropes
in the UFC too.
Yeah,
he wasn't defending himself, and that's like the big thing.
Imagine if he got seriously hurt.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason to have him take another few shots to the head.
I definitely don't care if he gets seriously hurt.
You
chose to get into a ring and fight another man for a bunch of money. Get hurt. Get hurt.
With all this serious discussion that we had about CTE just a few weeks ago, how are you sitting here saying get hurt, taking punches to the head?
I believe the study and it needs to be done, but at the end of the day, it's also the entertainment value that's going to win out here. It was done correctly, it was done appropriately, everything was followed by the book, so you can't argue with it. Nobody can argue that the result of the fight is any different than when it should have been. That's when the fight should have been stopped.
Next, can we have a rematch, but in the octagon?
I told you what I think was going to happen. That was boxing, octagon, kickboxing.
Yeah, it's. I wish it would, but why would Floyd?
At 40, there's no way Mayweather's getting.
You say
in that
why
ring.
would he? And the reason is to make another $100 million because it would absolutely get the same amount of hype. I think.
And then
go down.
And then the third fight after that is going to be, like I said, $1 billion draw.
But the other issue is Mayweather doesn't have that much time left fighting wise. You know, we saw him slower than we've seen him.
He said, I'm retired. That's it.
Well, why would you want to do... He is literally the greatest record of all time.
That's 50-0.
That's the great... Yeah. It is the greatest record of all time.
It
greatest
really
undefeated record of all time.
It really is. And
because he was tied at 49. That's why he wanted the 50.
Not to mention, he now put himself over $1 billion career earnings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over $1 billion from punching people in the face.
What does he need to do anymore? I mean, it's pointless. There's nothing else required of him at this point.
There's one thing. He's got to beat Kevin Hart in one-on-one basketball.
No.
I think that's...
I was going to say he's got to stop beating women in his life.
Whoa.
But okay.
And speaking of that, we'll get to that in a little bit, because I added something to the show I didn't tell you guys about.
Oh, boy.
Oh, good.
But, so let's just go through this really quickly. The second round, and by the way, our guys from Not a Clue podcast are up here saying his arms weren't up the whole fight. Which, I mean, the first 3 rounds they were,
He was defending himself still, even if his arms weren't
when you think about that, he did leave himself open a lot. Well, Conor was not afraid to get hit. It was the fact that once those hits started landing and it threw him off of where his stance, that's where the ref started getting concerned. Once you start seeing noodly feet and your head starting to bob and you have to hold something, that's where concern is from.
Second round.
Once every hit, every strike or every other strike is landing to the face and your gloves aren't still not getting above your chest, then I think it's reasonable to call it.
It is reasonable, but I mean, I've seen fights where McGregor's not had his hands up, letting people take shots to his face, and all of a sudden he hits with a left, and then you're knocked out. Because you've exposed yourself too much because he's let you think you can just get away with hitting him in the face.
But he's not complaining about the
He's quadrupled his net worth. Exactly. He's not complaining about anything.
which I'm going to ask a question about that at the end.
He got knocked out, and even if it was slightly more technical than true, then
I'm pretty sure I had read that he said that he wished the ref didn't stop the fight, but he agrees with it.
Yeah.
So
if you're looking at it from boxing terms in the sport that he's in, the rules are the rules, and that's where the ref viewed the fight needed to be ended. So you can't go back and argue it. I'm actually pleased that McGregor didn't have a lot to say spouting off at the mouth after the fight.
Yeah, neither of them really did from what I've seen.
Because they hugged each other and they just played everyone for $500 million
right.
and got away with it.
Right. So I don't remember going back to the not having the arms up thing. I don't remember if it was first round or second round. McGregor put his glove up to his face and then put his hands behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he was feeling himself.
Yep. He like, you know what? That's probably first. That's probably why I have on here Conor very cocky.
Yeah.
So going on to the second round, Conor McGregor still aggressive, landing tons of shots. He was just hitting everything. Not great shots necessarily.
Yeah, that's my entire point with Mayweather's defense is you can hit them, but they're not going to be good.
I mean, he gives up the body shots all day.
90%.
He'll give up the body shots all day.
They're mostly hitting elbows, though, the way he's tucked in.
Because he's so small.
Yeah, you're not, you might hit stomach a little bit here, but you're not really banging the ribs around. Although Conor was getting some good kidney shots in when he was hugging him from the side, which I was wondering about the legality about.
I got that too. Yeah. McGregor landing good shots. Floyd still dancing. But this is where he started with the illegal hits to the back of the head.
Yeah.
When they were, him. Like, he literally pushed him down and started punching.
Yeah, that's his training for the other fight.
Yeah, you've got it. I can only imagine muscle memory. You've got you're like, oh wait a minute, I can't do that.
If he was a pure boxer, then that's dirty, but that's just the way he's been trained to fight his whole life.
And I will give him credit that when he started doing that later on in rounds, Like, he was recognizing that he was doing it. He started pulling it back and trying to control himself. Like, I can't do that.
It made him look undisciplined, but I kind of take that back because for 7 of the 10 rounds, when Bird shouted stop, he backed off immediately.
Floyd was actually...
Floyd with the punches at the end,
yeah. Was doing a little bit of some cheap shots.
Well, I mean, Floyd was the bad guy in the fight. McGregor should have capitalized on the fact that he wasn't Floyd Mayweather.
Great guys, but,
Floyd, if Conor McGregor branded himself the right way, if he had called out, this guy beats women.
Yeah.
He's the good guy.
Yeah.
And he wins so much more money.
There was a little bit of what sounded like racism, not going to get into...
I mean, he's Irish, so his culture has had a horrible deal in life as well.
Yeah, but just because it's also been bad doesn't mean that you get a free pass. I'm Irish, and
well, he's like from Ireland, Irish.
I know. So he's probably seen like 5 black people in his life,
right?
But
and I'm sure Mayweather being one, the other 4 could read.
He knew saying "boy" to a black dude is not right.
I say boy to everybody.
Oh, man. We're not even having this conversation. Move on now before I go off on that.
So, like I said, McGregor looked undisciplined except for when, Bird shouted stop. He only paused a moment when...
I did note this when I was watching it. The announcer stated that McGregor had... trained with some world famous refs beforehand to see what he could get away with, to see how much he could bend the rules without breaking them. So I don't know how much of it was necessarily discipline versus just bending the rules a little bit to his advantage. Knowing that he's coming in at a disadvantage, it's not his.
Well, actually, some of those punches when he's standing behind Mayweather and he's hitting him in the face but coming around his back,
that's good.
That's still legal because he's hitting him where he's allowed to. It's just no fighters ever thought, let me get behind him and hit him in the head. Like
he was hitting him in the between the
spleen
and the kidneys.
That
I think was legal too. The ref.
Well, the thing is that's a tactic that some boxers use because if you can get somebody really jacked up right around their rib cage, you can burst something in there that will drop them to the ground.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. How bad is what Conor McGregor was doing really in comparison to Mills Lane allowing Mike Tyson to bite Evander Holyfield?
It still didn't top that move.
Yeah, that's a good point,
overall,
right?
For a boxing match, it wasn't very dirty. It
was less dirty than I thought it was.
There wasn't below the belt. There were no headbutts.
There was a low blow
from Floyd. There was
Conor hit Floyd in the corner.
No. Mayweather did go down on McGregor.
Whoa.
He bent down. Okay.
Whoa!
You know the same time.
I don't know what fight you watched.
Were you on pay-per-view on the Raw pay-per-view channels?
Might have been. You know how Mayweather kept ducking? There was at one point where he ducked and then he took a jab and it caught well below the belt because I remember the ref telling him gloves got to stay up.
That's what I thought I remembered was
round 9. Conor really aggressive, gets called for low blow in the corner.
Oh, okay.
Mayweather was warned about it as well.
Yeah, so overall not.
But I mean, for a boxing match with everything going on, considering
our guys at Not a Clue podcast talking about this, I don't know what fight you were watching thing, said that's why the fight was $99. Very good point.
Get what you pay for.
Very good point.
The after party.
Yeah, then the after party, right, where they walk away with a collective $500 million, and we're all $100 later. Well, actually, our $100 went to them.
Right.
But second round, Conor McGregor still wins. All right. Round 3, Conor come out still aggressive, backing Floyd into the corner. Still the same issues with punching in the back of the head. And this is where they really started hugging, often. Floyd begun punching a little bit more. This is where Conor was getting his better shots in, I think. Floyd was getting abused for a bit of this fight. This is when the ref started warning him to keep his head up, Floyd that is, and I think Conor McGregor wins that round as well. All right, round number 4, Conor comes out swinging, still being aggressive. He's landing some really good punches at this point. He's getting Mayweather's head. Like, I don't know if this is like Mayweather just like thinking I can take it, let him do what he's going to do, and he's getting tired now. That's probably what it might have been, but Floyd then started landing some strong punches of his own. McGregor came out really strong at the end of the fourth round. That's why I have McGregor